Welcome to the DIY Writer Show with the mild-mannered, slightly heroic host, Jeff Bacon.
This is Jeff with the DIY Writer Podcast. And today I have the lovely and talented Michelle Young. Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Cool. I'm doing pretty good. We're just kind of talking a little bit. And if anybody wants to see what I'm going to be talking about, you can go to mypureart.com. Just, you're a fantastic artist. Fantastic. I just, I love paintings and it just, like I said, it's been a joy kind of looking through your stuff. So I really appreciate that. And thank you. But today we're here to talk about your first book.
Dun, da,
Dun, dun. Gearheart. So what can you tell us about that?
So I actually dreamed up Gearheart in high school.
Okay.
And it was just a random day, and it was such a vivid dream. I absolutely adored it. And I just kept redreaming it for like an entire year. I just kept on going back to it because I loved the idea of it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And during the summer of my first year in college, that summer, I was in the Philippines for a trip on coral conservation, and somehow I just realized I got to write this idea down so I don't lose it. And I was like 10 pages in, which is insane for me because I usually have never been a very good writer. And I let it go for a year or two, and then in my senior year of college, I wrote the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently just published it my first year out of college.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So we are sitting in your first year of college, huh? Or your first year after college.
Out of college, yeah.
Yeah. Well, forgive me, I'm an old man.
That's
but
okay. Nah.
Wow. So right out of college, and you got your first book sitting out there. 33 5-star reviews. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. So you wrote it in high school. You kind of wrote the concept down, and you got it finished up your senior year in college.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a steampunk.
Yep, it is a steampunk adventure novel.
Okay.
And it's I'll tell you right now, a secret. And everyone else can know this too now.
I was gonna say, it's a podcast, right?
Yes. So in the dream originally, have you heard of Neopets?
Yes. Yes.
There are these things in the book. They're called dimmies, is what I named them. And in my dream, they were Neopets. So there's this like big furry green one that looks like a bear with really swirly ears, and this like bison nose.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the characters named Winona. So I wanted to kind of keep them looking like that, but vague enough so people wouldn't realize, oh my gosh, she's just talking about Neopets. In this thing. I loved that game when I was a kid, so it's like, okay, why not?
That's hilarious.
But I don't understand why it came in that dream all of a sudden. It's like, hey, let's bring back that thing from childhood you love so much in this strange location of like Victorian England stuff in a dream. Why not?
So I'm kind of curious, when you paint, you sit down, you have a little bit of inspiration, and then it just I assume it just kind of comes out. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it does.
I mean, it just, you have this vision and this is what you're making. And at times I assume that, well, maybe it looks better like this, or, you're kind of guided towards it. Mm-hmm. I would guess, I don't know. I draw stick figures, so I'm not, I'm not any good at it.
I don't think anyone should say that they're not good at it, because you can easily have fun with it. You don't have to be good with it if you enjoy it.
I have fun with it, but it's usually in a dirty sense. So we're not going to go there.
Okay. But yes, on the idea.
I have a reputation to protect, young lady. No, I'm just kidding. But I think it's the same way with books. You get your inspiration. This is my story. And then all of a sudden you're writing along, or you have a thought about it that just comes out of nowhere. And it's like, hey, I should do this. Oh yeah.
Yes.
And it just pops in your head. It's like, oh, absolutely, that's got to be this. And it's all based on your experiences and everything. And it's almost like, part of you is just saying, no, do this. And then it comes out and it just kind of happens. I don't know.
It really does. You've heard of like pantsers and plotters? Two
I've
different.
heard something about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a new thing, I'm guessing, with writers, how they.
It's not a new thing.
Oh, okay.
It's absolutely, it's the age old art. There's almost like two groups of people. It's kind of like Democrats and Republicans. You got pantsers and you got plotters. Plotters must outline everything. Everything's got to have a detail. And pantsers like, yeah, screw it, I'm just gonna write this. And pantsers are a little bit slower at writing, but pantsers also say that it's more inspired, and
I'm kind of like a mix of both. It's
yeah.
hard for me to go into one category because I do plot out a couple points, but then for the most part, it's pantsing a lot of it because
Mm-hmm.
those plot lines are more like guidelines.
Yep.
Like the whole Pirates of the Caribbean thing. It's like there's no rules here.
They're more like gentle suggestions.
Yes, that's more like it. I could take something that I had an idea in the first chapter and literally take it all the way to the end of the book and use it there instead.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, oh no, that's not going to go in there anymore because I want to.
Yeah, that's kind of the same way I write down my idea. I write down an outline, and then by chapter 5 or 6, that outline is just done.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of took off, and it's wherever it is. And it's not as efficient as being a plotter, but on the other hand, sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it's, oh my god, I got to rewrite that. But whatever.
I love those moments where you just have that burst of energy and the burst of inspiration, and you just write like 10 pages nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I hate it because sometimes it's like 3 a.m. and I can't sleep, and it's like, okay, brain, please let me sleep now.
Yeah. And then the next day you're like, oh.
Yes. Because whenever I was working a corporate job, I had moments like that, and in the morning I was so dead, but I was still happy because I got the thought down.
Mm-hmm. Nope. Yeah, corporate jobs, that's where imagination goes to die.
Not if you're sneaky enough, I guess.
Oh well, yeah. maybe that's true. Who knows? I used to think corporations were where you could actually explore really creative ideas, and then I graduated from college and realized that that's not what they want.
No, not exactly.
No.
Not unless you have like one that can guarantee money.
Yeah, no. That's when your boss steals your idea and then says, look what I did. Oh yeah, that looks familiar. Oh yeah, thanks.
It's like, where have I seen that before?
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to get those TPR reports done this weekend. Yeah. Old movie reference. Anyway, let's see. So yours is set in a 19th century kind of a setting. 1886 is what I'm seeing here.
Mm-hmm.
And so how'd you handle the whole steampunk thing? I mean, it's all steam engines and kind of Victorian dress. And I mean, is it a true steampunk, or did you take some liberation with that?
I didn't really go much into like other worlds for steampunk, or I didn't look at other books that were steampunk either. I may have looked in the description of some of them, but other than that, I didn't want to base my book off of the inspiration of another, because I wanted it to stay true to the dream I had as much as I could, because I loved it and I wanted other people to see what it would be like. So in the dream, they were already ziplining over the city, dispersing letters that were in like a code that only the Demis could understand, and they were like boxing robots to fall down and stuff like that. So it was already kind of sci-fi-ish in my dream, and it's like, okay, so I can make this a steampunk then, because they're still like wearing all the corsets and the big dresses and the bouffant feather hats and whatever, but there's still robots running around. So it's like, okay, so I have to do that now because it makes sense. So yeah, that was the fun part because I got to make it exactly how it was in the dream, and it like just came out to me perfectly how it needed to be, which is rare, honestly.
So how did you power everything? Is it purely steam, or do you have some other power sources, or
It's mainly steam for a lot of them. Some of it is electricity, actually. I made sure that they did have light bulbs in this one for electricity. Some of them are like generator, so it's like some of them are wind-up generators. And others are like, I even put in radio waves, so those have to have a wind-up generator for a radio to be worked.
Cool. So this is going to be, is this the start of a series? Is that what this is?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
I am actually quite into the next one. I'm 47,000 words in on the second book. It's going to be called Soul Cogs.
Okay. That's catchy. I like that.
Thank you.
How many words do you have in this book? It's got to be what, 60, 70, no, 86?
You want to guess again?
No, not really.
Okay.
72?
No.
38.
No, it is
102.
107,000 words.
Oh, it's a book stop.
Oh yeah.
Or a doorstop. I'm sorry. Wow.
Someone told me that that's actually larger than most sci-fi books. So most sci-fi books are like half that amount. So I basically wrote 2 books in one in my genre, which is like, okay. I think it still works though.
Yeah. You know, here's the thing. Everybody's got these preconceived notions of what it should be. In the end, none of them are right. It is what it is. There are no rules.
They're more like guidelines.
Suggestions. You know, any author ever tells you that there's rules, don't listen to them. There's none.
They're probably a plotter.
They're probably a plotter. That's right. I must kill my story at 68,000 words, period. Period. I don't care what kind of cliffhanger it is. Oh, wait a minute. No, cliffhangers are illegal. Yeah. But
cliffhangers are the best.
you could divvy that up into 2 books if you ever decided to, I suppose. But 100,000 plus words is a good sized book. That's an epic fantasy.
Really?
Epic fantasies are, and some sci-fi books are over 100,000. I mean, no problem. So I mean, I don't see any problem with that at all. So
the only time I've seen like epic fantasies, they were like thick.
Yep.
They were thick boys, and it's like, oh God, just seeing how thick that was, it made me feel uneasy. It's like having to write all that. Oh my gosh. But if you love it, that's it.
I get a kick out of a lot of my friends write high fantasy, epic fantasy, and they'll talk about, well, it's 90,000 words into my book. It's like, holy crap, I write, kind of urban dark fantasy, and you're around 56,000, per book, shorter books and everything else. And it's like, wow, that's 2 books for me, pal. They're like, how do you get the whole world? It's urban fantasy. It's already the world you live in. I don't have to do any of that crap. You got to build a real quick magic system, and then I go,
That's it.
That's it. Done. Piece of cake. Epic fantasy is a little bit more, but sci-fi, a little bit more world building. I think steampunk's pretty. I think your world's kind of already determined, so you can just kind of layer on top of it.
Very true. And it's usually like Victorian era or even like World War II, World War One. It's usually in those areas.
That's diesel punk, isn't it? Or
it might be getting into that. Yeah.
I think that's World War One, World War II, where they have the tanks and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I lost track of all my punks. I know steampunk.
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
Yeah.
Whatever Leviathan is, I thought it was a steampunk book, and I think it's World War World War One.
Yeah.
So yeah, that might be diesel, but I thought it was steampunk.
They do that every now and then. So they'll take steampunk, and when it got too wide, there's too many different kind of variations. I was like, nope, this is diesel punk, and this is futuristic punk, and this is cyberpunk, and blah 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 blah. And then they break it up and they do all sorts of silly things. It's all for the marketing of Amazon.
There's also like gas lamp fantasy.
I'm
not quite sure what that's all about.
I honestly can't tell you off the top of my head. I know I've looked it up a few times, and it's just another variation of that same thing. Steampunk. Yeah, a couple of crazy kids want to do something. Have these contraptions you have to deal with.
Now the inventions, those are really fun to think of.
Yeah.
All the contraptions I had to make up, that was a lot of fun. Like normal stuff like grappling hook launchers and stuff like that, that was easy to make up. But like there was a hat, and I so wish I could have it for myself. This man was walking around with a top hat, and it had a clock on its right here on the top of it. Whenever it hit like 12 or the hour, it would fall down and a cuckoo bird would come out and say the time and then shoot right back in, and the clock would go up. And it's like, I want that hat for myself.
You can make one.
I know. It's just, how heavy do you think it would be to put a cuckoo bird in a hat like that?
Oh, I bet you could do it under a pound and a half.
Me and my friends were already thinking of making a derby hat with like paper mache cannons that have those poppers in it, so whenever you pull a string they actually shoot out.
No.
I'm so excited to make that.
That sounds like a hell of an invention that will probably end up at Spencer's. So cool. So what else is going on? We need to get into your art for absolutely sure.
Go right ahead.
But anything else on your book that you want to talk about? And we'll probably swing back to it a little bit later.
Actually, I would like to touch on a really big inspiration that was inside my family for the book, actually.
Okay.
I dedicated the book to one of my ancestors, Dr. Lubbock Pierce. He was a missionary on the plantations in the South whenever, like before and during the Civil War. So he actually saved a lot of slaves on the plantations, which was his missionary field. So I wanted to, whenever I found that out, it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta give this book to him. Sure. So yeah, he was a big inspiration for the entire like idea of the book, because a lot of it is, well, that's the plot. That's like what it's all about, saving the slaves.
That is very cool. So that's the book dedication. Very cool. Anybody else influence you on your book or inspire you?
Harriet Tubman, definitely. It's like, she was just an incredible lady. She risked life and limb going to save like her people and bring them to, well, let's say place, just out of the clutches of their captors. So she, like, all the things I've heard that she's done, it's absolutely incredible. And I really want to know more about her, because I know there's a book called like Harriet, or possibly Harriet's Journey. I really want to read that, and I can't wait for it.
See, this is where, as a host, I am sitting here. There's two paths: either doing a Denzel Washington joke or be serious. Neither one will work out real well. So let's jump back to your art.
Okay.
You do have an art gallery. It's an online art gallery. Again, it's mypureart.com. and looking at you paint everything yourself. And it is like I was saying before, and I was on even before the show, you do some fantastic work.
Thank you.
You're able to go through the gallery she has online, again on her website, and you can also commission her to do art for you if you wish. Just kind of explain what I'm looking at here. I mean, it's all very, it's all very good. So I mean, what do you do? I mean, how do you come up with your paintings?
Well, a lot of them, the landscapes, I try to keep very loose, and they're so vibrant with color because that's I just see so much whenever I look at any picture. It pops out to me like there's so much more than the normal eye can see. So I like to add a lot into it, and it's very brushy. And whenever I paint landscapes, I just feel so much. So I try to incorporate that into the
Mhm.
painting, and it seems to work. A lot of people say it's like the more I look at it, the more I see, and it's hard for me to look away from it. So I
Mhm.
love that they say that. Thank you. Um, and then the other paintings, like the figure paintings, um, I love to not really mutation kind of stuff, but like I love to manipulate environments and people. Just some people could have feathers sprouting out from them in a beautiful way, or someone could be laying in a sea of stars.
Mhm.
And I just like to think, what would it be like to be able to do that, or to like, I don't know, just float in something like a galaxy just for a little bit. Because whenever I paint, I kind of put myself in that environment. I kind of lose myself there, with all the music and everything and all this color. I can just see like coming out of me, and it just goes into the painting. So that's kind of what happens in the art itself. Is these figures, mainly women, dancing or swimming or um, just looking like they're so relaxed in this place that becomes very ethereal.
Mhm.
And it's usually water as well, because that's where I feel most comfortable. I just love being in the water and being underwater.
Yeah. I I judge paintings on how they make me feel,
Hmm.
to be honest with you. I mean, I look at the color variations and I look at the detail and everything else. But when I step back, I think probably 60% of whether or not I like it or not is how does this make me feel? If it makes me feel kind of warm and comfortable, or if it makes me feel, maybe a little uncomfortable, depending on what it is. And both feelings I love, but yours are all kind of warm and inviting, and kind of that engulfing type feeling from what I'm seeing. It's very good. Like I said, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. But we did talk a little bit about um, you're doing items and you're doing landscapes and stuff like that. But you do have a little bit of a dark side, and you are doing a book cover for a children's book.
Hmm.
And I mentioned that a lot of authors like to have commissioned art for their book covers. I think you would be excellent for that type of stuff.
Thank you. And you mentioned Amanda Warren, didn't you?
Yeah,
I am definitely going to reach out to her because I think it'd be really interesting to do a book cover that's painted. Because
I'll
I
uh,
don't know.
I'll connect you to.
Thank you. That'd be
I'll
great.
connect you to. You don't have to reach out to her. Yeah, I'll send her an email and include you on it. Just she said she's always looking for artists and looking for new concepts and everything. So maybe that's something that'll help you out. But yeah, I'll also write myself a very important note, because otherwise I will forget.
Well, thank you, because I
And
would love an opportunity like that.
and I will tell you that if I don't hop on this and do it, and you don't see anything from me in the next 3 days, that you have public permission to slap me with an email and saying, "Hey, buddy, thought you're gonna, you know,
Get on it. Come
get
on.
on it." Well, that'd be a little bit of Texas in you right there. Come on, boy, get on it.
Hmm.
So you're out of Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, I don't even know if we mentioned that earlier, but yes,
Nah, I don't know if we did either, but we're getting to it now.
okay. Yeah, I'm from Dallas, Texas, born and raised here, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love my Texas.
Do you? I hear that a lot from Texans, that you love Texas.
Yes, but I will say this, I don't like how long it takes us to get out and in and around Texas. Because it's like other states, I was just thinking about this the other day. It's like other states, and sometimes even like, well, mainly in Europe, they could go to like 4 countries and like just a few hours, go get groceries in one, go see their family in another, and then come back and make dinner within like 4 hours or less.
Mhm.
Well, over here, we drove 8 hours. We're still in Texas. Oh
That
my goodness.
that is very true. I actually live in an area where I can actually go to 2 different countries
That's really
within
cool.
within a hour. Yeah, I can go to Illinois or Iowa,
Hmm.
and those are different countries.
Is it just like everyone talks different even? Is it different like what is it?
Iowa
Drawl?
has a different dialect, absolutely. Yeah. They absolutely they talk their own language down there or over there. In Illinois, I just like to make fun of them. So yeah, they're a different country too.
Honestly, being in the South, we make fun of other Southerners' accents too. So I get you.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to try to piece like, oh, this person's from like Alabama, this person's from Georgia, or something like
Georgia.
that. Georgia.
Yeah. My parents moved to North Carolina from Wisconsin.
I've heard so many good things about that place, and they have a really good art scene. I've been thinking about possibly going there for a bit.
Yeah, they live kind of that corridor where you can drive to South Carolina or Georgia within just within an hour. You can be in either one of them.
That's pretty awesome.
And the thing that drives me nuts about it is that it doesn't matter what time of the year it is, they have nice weather. And it's all 70s. Oh
And they're
man, it dipped all the way
so
down to 62 today. That stinks. I guess the summers get, but they're right at the base of a mountain, so it's really pleasant weather, and it just
man,
kind
they
of
even
makes
get
me
the mountain
sick.
too.
Yeah, yeah, they have some pretty beautiful scenery, so I've been told. I
And they
moved
also
out
get the
there.
ocean.
Well, yeah, they get the ocean too. So I mean, they kind of have it all down there,
Sure
from what
seems like it.
from what I understand. They moved out in March of this year.
Hmm.
And so, of course, the pandemic the lockdowns in Wisconsin had just started. So they're moving in the middle of a lockdown.
Oh God.
Yeah. So, that was kind of interesting to send them off, but, I haven't been down there yet, but I'm hoping to in the next year or so, but,
Oh jeez.
very cool. So you've got that second book. How many books do you have in this series that you have in concept?
I am in the making of there's 2 more, so Soul Cogs and then Wired Minds is the
Okay.
third book.
Ooh.
And I know it's like I love the third title. I'm really excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
So in the second one, like right now, they are in London, and in the third one, they're going to be going to Paris.
Okay.
And I know that that's like fancy places, really high-end cities, and all kind of stuff. But and in steampunk, that's usually the 2 places that they go for. If not America, then it's always like London or Paris or something like that. But I wanted to do it because Paris, like France and England, have always been kind of like bitter rivals.
Yeah.
So I need that for the story.
I'd like to see somebody do a steampunk in Liberia.
That'd be cool. Or
Or I mean,
Finland.
something, some other place.
How nuts would it be if they did like one in Antarctica where there were like trains going through icebergs or something?
Shh. Okay, not gonna say anything. I've got something like that coming up.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm really excited now.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of, but gets
I
a
read
little
your mind.
weird. It gets a little weird, but we'll see.
Okay.
But I've talked about it a little bit. I've got a a novelette series that's coming out that's kind of steampunk, and they, all my books end up in Antarctica at one point in time.
Why is that for you?
Because Antarctica is the center of a whole bunch of conspiracy theories and all these things that exist there because it hasn't really been all that explored. And,
That's true.
everybody's, oh, there's secret naval bases down there. There's secret this or secret that. There's a whole nother, there's an underground, utopian type society underneath there, all this stuff. And it's like, I want to play with that.
Yeah, I've heard of the whole like, oh, there's a hole in the earth that goes to the center, or like some other underground area that's, like you said, a utopia. It's like,
Yeah. The
makes you
entrance to
wonder.
heaven is supposed to be in Antarctica at some point in time, in some different theories. It's
I don't
just,
know.
it's all this stuff. And it's like, you got to write about it. I mean, it has to be the center of something. Can't be just a gigantic ice sheet. Probably
Maybe, I don't
is.
know.
Probably is, but
It does make you kind of wonder. It's like, what if that's like where Eden was, and then that's how God made it impenetrable with all the ice or something?
could be.
It's possible.
Very well could be.
Yeah.
I really don't know. And then, Eden might still be there and there's actually another culture there. Who knows? Just underneath the ice.
Speaking of the snow, it was always snow in my book. It's like I always wanted to make sure that it was there. And it just like, it turned into a Christmas book in a way, but while still having the whole theme of being like the steampunk adventures thing. But I had to include Christmas. I just had to. I love it too much.
You love Christmas?
Oh yeah. I love Halloween. I really adore Halloween, but I still love Christmas.
I have a 3-year-old daughter that we were doing. She loves Halloween. She's a Halloween loving kid. I mean, she thinks that's great. And, but she also loves Christmas and she sees no reason why they can't be combined. And so we're doing gingerbread cookies and, we're decorating, we're piping on the icing and everything. I said, okay, what do you want this one to be? I want it to be a witch. And her mom goes, there's no witches in Christmas. I want it to be a Christmas witch. It's like, sure there are. What the heck, Next one was a Christmas vampire.
I'm surprised she didn't want like a Santa skeleton?
No, she's only 3, so she doesn't quite get skeletons yet. But
okay,
yeah,
I could see that though, like a skeleton on the porch wearing a beard and a hat.
We'll do that. We'll probably do that with sugar cookies at some point in time.
There you go.
It'd be really easy to make a skeleton out of it.
That'll be difficult, especially with the whole beard thing.
Nah, that's just frosting.
I guess I'm thinking of like the shape of it, because you can't just have frosting hanging off of that.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I leave that up to the artist. I'm just a writer. I can write it. I can make it look good on a page. That's it.
There you go.
That's it. Oh, so what else is going on? What do you do for hobbies besides painting and writing and everything else? What do you kind of hang out and what do you like to do in Dallas?
Well, of course I'm a reader, but
okay.
What else is new? I love archery. I haven't been able to do it as much as I want to because writing, but I really do love archery. And we have the second largest archery range in the country here in Texas, actually pretty locally. It's a Texas Archery Academy. Love it there. Nice big ranges, and thank God there's air conditioning because it gets so hot in the summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great there, and I met some really cool people over the years.
But Dallas also gets cold in the winter.
Yeah, and which is awesome how it has heating, but sometimes we do need to wear jackets even while we're inside. But yeah, it's a really fun place, and I brought my friends who aren't really archery addicts as much, and they'd love it just as much as me. Archery
is hard. I mean, shooting a bow is hard. It takes skill. It's not something you just pick up and do. It's there's a lot to it.
I guess, yeah, it is. It comes more naturally to some people than others. I at the same time, it's also a lot of luck.
Mhm.
Whenever you loose the arrow, something can happen to it where like it just bends a bit too much whenever it goes off,
Sure.
and it could like go one way when when it was straight on the bow whenever you're
Mhm.
about to shoot it. So a lot of the time it can be luck, but it really is fun, and it's a good workout. Oh my gosh, it gets your arms, your back, everything.
Yeah, yeah. So you use like a pin sight then, or do you have a floating sight, or what do you use?
No, my eyes are my sight, and
Oh, you no, so you just do a regular straight bow, huh?
yeah, I'm bare bow.
Bare bow.
Yep. It was there was a competition I was in high school. I was like 15 or something at the time, and it was my first competition. I broke a record and I got a medal in my division for my first competition. I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh my gosh, that actually happened." But I was so dead at the end of it. I was like, "I don't think I want to do any more competitions."
So are you shooting a compound then, or a recurve?
Recurve bow.
Recurve? Cool.
The big old recurve. I love those.
Mhm.
Compounds are cool. I will say that they are very accurate too.
Yep.
Plus, they usually come with a sight, so it's actually quite helpful. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I will say this: I love my friends who use compound bows, but we recurvists, we call them training wheels.
Training wheels?
Yes. So any
That's not even
compounders out there,
fair.
don't hate me, but that's just what we call it. I'm sorry.
Training wheels. Holy
Yes.
cow. I shot recurves when I was very young, and then went to a compound bow and swore I'd never go back.
Mm. Yep. It's just what you want. Some people are more one way than the other.
Mhm.
Kind of like with the whole pantsing and plotting thing, I guess.
Although recurves are cool, historically, those are the cool thing.
Hmm.
They were the cool bows. But yeah, I kind of like my compound bows. I worked with a company at one point in time. It was called Sherlock, and
I'm surprised it wasn't Robin Hood or something.
no, and the guy actually invented a floating sight.
Really?
So that, yeah, as you'd set up, you'd sight it in at a certain, I think it was like 30 yards or something like that or whatever. And then, you could push it out without doing any kind of adjustment or whatever, 50, or bring it up closer or whatever. And that sight would it'd just level right out, and you'd be almost dead on accurate.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was sitting in his office one day and he got this package, and we're sitting there kind of talking, and it's a signed picture of Gina Davis. She sent it to him and said, "Hey, you know what? Love your site." And we're like, "Ooh, Gina Davis. Ooh,
Whoa.
cool." You know, just kind of out of the blue. And it's like, holy crap,
That
this
is
is
pretty
nice.
awesome.
It was pretty awesome. But yeah, I think Sherlock sites, I don't know if they're still around or not. I think they are, but I think
Was he just like brushing his shoulders at that point? It's like, hey.
if I remember correctly, his name was Steve. And I think Steve said, I really don't need anything else in my life. I've got Gina.
I love it.
His wife didn't think that was all that great, but at the
Aw.
time we're both kind of sitting there going, "Ooh, all right, she's big into bows all over the
Mhm.
place." Yeah, or she was. I don't know if she is anymore, but that was kind of fun.
Still, that's pretty cool.
It really is.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, please.
One time, my friend, he had a Mongolian bow. You know, those the little ones that are really curved.
Mm-hmm.
He let me shoot it one time, and I got the biggest bruise on my arm. It was like right here, the length of it, right here, and there was blood underneath the skin. It's like
Yeah.
we know people who have bled because the string hit them so hard whenever it
Mm-hmm.
was letting go. It's like I was so lucky I didn't start bleeding, but God, did it hurt.
Yeah, I've done that.
You too? Oh
Well,
man.
when you're first starting out and you're holding that bow, and you don't have your
Mhm.
wrist quite right, or I don't know how exactly to do it, but somehow that part of my arm was sitting there. and it'll, and you get bit. Basically, I don't know how
It's
to.
like, oh,
Yeah. And then it's like, well, I'll never do that again. And I think I did it like 3 or 4 more times, just beat the crap out of my forearm, my underarm. And it's just like, holy buckets, you're an idiot. And then
that's
over the
why.
course of a few years, I've done it, I mean, you start wearing those leather protectors. So hopefully it doesn't bite in so bad. But, I've had it where it's actually caught those and ripped them off and still,
Yeah, I've had it where it's like somehow it was like out too much and it
Mhm.
got underneath there and it still just whipped me.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, okay. Tighten it up.
Tighten it up. Do something. Yeah. That
Yeah.
hurts though.
Oh,
And it hurts for
yeah.
days.
But it's better when that's much better than whenever you're trying to get your string on your bow to set up and something happens and it's like it whips out.
Yeah.
And either your bow itself just like hits you or the string itself does, because it happened to someone at the range and she was one of my friends and she was bleeding after it because it hit her back so hard. It was bad. So yeah, archery can be fun, but it can also be very dangerous in more than ways than just an arrow.
Well, especially at recurve when you put that through your legs and you're bending it down to hook that string on.
Mm-hmm.
There's an awful lot of force there just waiting to be unleashed.
Yes.
So if you slip, it's an ouch.
Which is more than whenever you're trying to pull the sheets up in bed and all of a sudden you punch yourself.
Yeah, this is much more than that. Yes.
Much worse than that.
So we were talking a little bit before, and part of when you contacted me to be on the show, one of the things that we kind of discussed a little bit is you have a couple of things that you have to deal with on a daily basis, and it was kind of hard for you in school too, the ADHD or the attention deficit disorder, and then what was the other thing that you had? It was
Dysgraphia.
Dysgraphia. That's right. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. A lot of people think it's like, did she say dyslexia? It's like, no, I said dysgraphia. Dysgraphia is a rare, it's a rare learning disability, which is why not many people know about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say this now for everyone listening who don't know it. It is whenever the words in your head, it's very hard for you to get them on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped me out so much during school because I have 2 very amazing parents. My mom used to be she knows shorthand. And so I was able to dictate any essay I had and she would help me out and then we'd be able to type it down.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, throughout school, I absolutely hated school just because of it, because it made me so much slower than the other students, and it was so hard for me to get work done just because of that. It was very frustrating. But
And how many of them have written novels? 102,000 word novel.
haha,
To start.
right out of college.
So that had to be tough.
It was very tough, and I hated writing all throughout my entire school career until I finally figured out there was a college course I actually took during high school, and it was for English. One of the only paper I ever enjoyed writing ever was one. It was about art, and not like, oh, analyze this art painting and tell us like the concept, art, color, whatever it is. No, it was like being able to express it through street art and stuff like that. And it was so much so much more enjoyable to write. And I loved it. And I guess that helped me be more comfortable with writing the story that I dreamed up that same year as well. Later on, of course, but still. I figured out I have to want to write something to be able to write it quickly and well, or else it's like it's going to take me forever. And for school, it usually did, which still sucked. But now I don't have to do those papers anymore. Yay! So yeah.
Well, congratulations. Now you can just write fun stuff.
which I am very excited about.
So your ADHD, how's that? Do you still deal with that quite a bit, or are you medicating for that, or?
I used to medicate for it, and it would also somewhat help my writing as well, to be able to focus enough to write. But yeah, I don't anymore because just sorry,
Nope.
it messed up with like my breathing, my heart rate. It made my heart race so much, and my appetite was just shot. I hated
Sure.
it so much. So I'm glad I never got addicted to that kind of thing. I would hate myself if I did, because I did not like being on that medicine. So I don't use it anymore. I never want to. And I think I'm actually doing a lot better without it these days,
Mhm.
because I know how to work without relying on it.
Yeah, I
But
could see
yeah.
that. But there are some benefits to being on speed.
Yeah.
Just saying what I've heard from
Yeah.
friends.
I used a weird medicine that not many people have actually used for ADHD. It was Focalin XR.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. My mom's a pharmacist, so she knew exactly which one would be best.
Oh, that
Yeah,
helps.
it helps a lot. Um, but yeah, so I'm just really glad I don't have to take that medicine anymore. It was so annoying to take, and it was weird. It's like it made you so focused that it also took away your personality. So I was just like a blob most of the time. I hated it.
I've heard that can
Mm-hmm.
happen. If somebody who doesn't have ADHD would take, you know, Ritalin or something like that, it would just, you know, and
Well,
you're on it.
oh yeah. Well, have you ever been so focused and stressed out at the same time at one particular thing? It's like you notice your personality is gone. Your sense of humor, it's gone. Just everything is about focusing on that one thing or on something that's about to come. And it's like, okay, you're not even a human anymore. You're like a robot while you're on this medicine. It sucked.
No, I've always, whenever I start feeling that way, I break out the rum or the tequila or the whiskey or various amounts of beer.
Then you get tons of personality.
You get tons of personality, but no functionality, no focus, and nothing gets done.
Well, there's that.
There's trade-offs.
You
There's
can't have it
trade-offs.
both.
Yeah, you can't have it all, so you might as well have fun.
True.
Might as well have some fun. Um, I have to say I am truly in awe of your art.
Thank you.
And I really like where you're going with this book. I've read the the book blurb a couple of things. I haven't picked it up, so and I probably will, just because it sounds very very interesting. And I am going to we get all done, I'll make sure that your website and I do want to put a blurb out there about you're a artist who would do commissions for
Mm-hmm.
people. I'll hook you up with Amanda Warren and maybe a few other people that may be looking for that kind of stuff.
I would love that.
Yeah, so I mean, I know you have you said you're on Pinterest and kind of on Facebook and everything else. So is there anything else you wanna get off your chest and tell us about?
Let's see. I will say this.
Okay.
I absolutely love Sherlock Holmes and the Nancy Drew series. Like
Mm-hmm.
the Conan Doyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about the stutter. Conan Doyle. It's like it was gonna come out sometime. But yeah, I love his work of Sherlock. I think it's the best. I read that a lot while I was writing this book
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted it to be a mystery that some people might be able to figure out, and a lot of other people like still haven't been able to. It's a very big shock at the end of the book and like where the climax is. So I want to see if you can figure it out.
Okay.
And whoever's listening, if you read the book, I dare you to try to figure out what the what the surprise is going to be without cheating.
Oh, without cheating. No.
Yeah.
No, you can't put rules on this. There are no rules.
There's one rule with this one.
You would have the guy that I interviewed from Tyler this morning, Tyler, Texas.
Mhm.
His name's William David Ellis, and he actually has 2 books. He's rewriting some Sherlock, or he's writing Sherlock Holmes.
Really?
Because that's public domain, so he can go ahead and take that. He was written in the last year 2 mysteries, and he's taking kind of he's taking some liberties with the story that are very interesting. He's adding in like a Frankenstein character, and some. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm kind of wanting to pick those up.
Cool.
Yeah, he kind of takes it to another level, and so he's got demons and stuff in it. So it's very fanciful, but it's still Sherlock Holmes.
No, hang on. Are you talking about the scientist? Because the scientist's name is Frankenstein. Or are you talking about the monster of Frankenstein?
He's talking about the monster.
Okay, that's so cool.
Yeah, he's talking about. I can't remember what he named it, but it's all very interesting. And Frankenstein is now healed, and he actually kind of looks like a person, but he's trying to be, very, very upscale, and it's not working out well for him. So he's a nice secondary character, and like I said, it sounds very interesting. So
all I can think about is the black and white Frankenstein movie, and having that kind of like the funny bits in it mixed with Sherlock, and it's like I would absolutely love that, and I would binge read every single one of them. It was like that.
He's an interesting cat. I enjoyed talking to him, and when he was telling me about those books, it's like that really sounds cool.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. So, but on this podcast, we just plug whatever we want. So you mention whoever you want or whatever you want, and do whatever you want. But it's mainly about you. What do you want to tell your readers?
Don't let whatever society tells you, whatever you tell yourself. It's like don't set boundaries on yourself, because look at me. I have two learning disabilities, and I wrote a book, and my learning disability is against writing. So yeah, don't let anything stop you from doing what you want to do or what you are afraid of doing. Just try it anyway.
I read something the other day I wrote it down somewhere, and it was something to the effect of, you really don't know what your limits are, so stop trying to guess.
Very true.
Go out there and test them. It was that type of a thing. Well, it's inspirational type things or whatever. That's very true with what you've done.
Thank you.
It's very true.
There's a story I love to reflect on. This man was walking through the woods, and all of a sudden this bear comes charging at him. And so, of course, he runs in a different direction. He's running towards this tree, and he sees this limb that's like 15 feet high. And he's like, oh my gosh, I gotta jump, but I'll never make that branch. I'll never make it. He gets closer and closer, and the bear is gaining on him. It's like, I'll never make it. I'll never make it. Finally, he jumps over it.
Oh.
And he lands on top of the branch. It's like, ta-da.
And then he jumps off, and he pile drives the bear, wins. No, just kidding.
And then everyone comes out and is like, yeah!
Cheering him on as he's beating up the bear, and gonna skin him with his bare hands and stuff.
He pulls out a chair.
Yeah. Perfect. No, you're truly inspirational, and like I said, your art is fantastic. I'm positive your book is fantastic too. I can't wait to see what else you produce.
Thank you.
Anytime that when your next book comes out, let me know, and we'll get you back on so you can promote that a little bit too.
Heck yeah. Can't wait to talk about it.
Cool beans. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and call this show to an end, if you don't mind. Unless you got something else to say. All right.
Well, thank you so much for letting me on it.
Oh, Michelle, absolutely my pleasure. I am so happy that you reached out to me. I really am. I don't even know how you found me, but it's been just a little old me up here in Wisconsin. But with that, I'm going to say thank you very much for listening. If you wouldn't mind, subscribe to my channel, follow me on whatever podcast app you happen to be using, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And again, Michelle Young, thank you very much. If you want to see her work, go to mypureart.com. The links will be posted in the show notes here. And with that, I want to bid you a very good day and keep your chin up. Bye-bye.
Please hit the subscribe button. I get a bonus for every subscriber, and I only need 1,506 more to become a full-time paid employee. Help me, please.